within their respective industry, people who have trailblazed and paved the path in their respective fields. And this person, that I want to bring in is no different. He's no less great than the other ghosts that I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to speak to. Actually, we've known each other for a very, very long time. We go back very, very far. Um, I'd say about a good 5 years. Do me a favor, if Gabe is inside. Gabe, if you're in the chat, just send me a invite, send me a request to jump in the live, and then I'll pull you in. But yeah, just to give you a little bit of context. So you know how I do. This is Crown Talk Conversations. Every time I do one of these, usually like once or twice a month. Whenever I got a show that's about to pop off, I usually have some dope guests that I'm able to bring through, and just meet so many dope people in the process, that I think that I have these conversations with these people, and I think that when I talk to them, the things that they have, the conversations that I have with these people are is just very highly enlightening, and no shortage of the gems that I'm able to get from these guys. And so every time you get to tune into one of these conversations, man, make sure that you're taking notes, make sure that you really tapped in. And also, if you know artists, other people who can learn from these conversations and gain insights and so much from gems from these conversations, from people like I'm about to have this conversation with right here, my guy right here. Make sure that you tag them, share this, share the live to them. Get them in here, because this is where they need to be. They want to learn, they want to grow, they want inspiration, they want guidance, they got questions of things that they're facing within their experiences within their industries. This is where you want to be, because I'm giving you the floor to be able to connect and talk with these people, and be able to ask them questions that you have on your mind right here and there. So without further ado, man, I wanna give a big shout out and a huge thank you to my brother, my friend. We've known each other for years. We've had so much history together. We've grinded through the mud together. We've we came up together. You know what I mean? Our history goes back very, very long, and for a long time, this conversation right here has been a long time coming. It's been years in the making,
Years.
but now we're at a place where, just the timing just aligned. And my brother Mixed by Gabriel,
Whoop, whoop,
most of
whoop,
you
whoop.
know him as Mixed by Gabriel. Some of you may know him as the legendary producer Third Eye Sound. Maybe otherwise you know him as a Billboard charting producer, engineer.
You know
Mixed
what
by
I'm saying?
Gabriel. Maybe you know him as the boss that's one half of the boss that's running up Cooking Up Studios. My God, how are you, bro?
I am blessed and highly favored. Thank you for that amazing introduction. It was
Man,
amazing.
I try, man. Maryland's finest right here. And if by chance if you know this guy from Maryland, I'm sure that from a different lens, you're able to see in your own hometown how this guy right here is becoming a GOAT, in his own right and stuff like that, bro. How I know our history. I know your history. I know how long, how many years, how many 10,000 hours have been put into developing and growing and further evolving your craft and stuff like that. But we're at a place where these Crown Talk conversations are meant to be with very special people who have really made their landmark in their respected industries, bro. And you're no different, because I know what you've done to get here. I've known what you've gone through, but I want to be able to hear, people to be able to hear it from your mouth, just where you come from, your background, and what it took for you to get to where you are today, and who exactly is Gabriel. Whether you know him as Gabriel Pearson, whether you know him as Mixed by Gabriel, whether you know him as Third Eye Sound, man has by many aliases. But who are you, man? Let them know who
Yeah.
you are.
Let's get into
Let's
it.
get
So my name's Gabriel. Obviously, he said that. I'm from Silver Spring, Maryland, a little small town outside of Washington, D.C., you know, nice little suburb beginnings. Yeah, so basically, you know, in 2014, 2015, I went to music school in Silver Spring, well, in Rockville, Maryland, in my hometown. And that basically started my path and my journey. From that point, I basically continued to freelance and basically like make as many connections and do as many things while in school as possible. Just to, you know, further, I guess, further just establish my education in like a real setting as far as like actually being in studios. Like, you know, it's one thing to learn in a class. It's a whole different thing to be in a session. So I tried to like get out and like do sessions on my own while I was in school, which a lot of people wasn't doing. And then when I graduated, I went to LA and New York for interviews, for internships, right? And I just ended up happening to get a internship in New York City first at Atlantic Records Studio and Midtown Lounge Studios. But I also made a bad mistake and double intern. That's how me and him met, by the way. So I doubled intern, meaning like a smart guy I was, I interned at 2 studios at the same time, which was a horrible decision. But
so you were at Atlantic.
I was at Lounge and Quad at the same time. Facts.
But you were at Lounge first
yes.
before you ever ended up at Quad?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was at that. Yeah. Well, hey, we all learning stuff. Yeah, so I moved to New York for Lounge and ended up being a smart guy and applying to Quad while I was out there and got that too. And I was like, oh, well.
Right. Maximizing on opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, I soon learned that, you know, you only have so much time in a day. And just to be honest, I mean, I'm sure we can get into this later in the convo, but what a studio of that magnitude requires, you can't do 2. Because they're already drawing all your energy, all your time, all your mental strength, everything. They're taking it all from you. So you can't do 2, is all I'm saying. Especially if you're going to put your all in it. It's just not possible. It's not happening.
Right.
So I figured basically what happened was, this is like how I got. So basically, like growing up and being raised, I was very close to my mom, and she's a therapist. So I'm basically giving you guys like explanation of who I am and why I am the way I am super quick. But basically, my mom's a therapist, so she always taught me how to be in connection with my feelings and other people's feelings and how to communicate properly. That was something my mom imparted on me at a very young age, and also just being honest, genuine, and transparent. Like she imparted a lot of those morals in me, right? So I had that from her. Then when I moved to New York, I got this crazy, intense, burning, grinding hustle sensation and like quick maturing moment where like I was just thrown in a completely different city. And you know how they say you only start living life or really start growing when you're out your comfort zone? Yeah. That happened to me. Okay. So basically what I think happened was, because I moved to a complete place with no connections and just like a complete, like just a ballsy move in general, I think it forced me to mature quicker and to learn things faster than the majority. Like I see New York, like I said this a couple of weeks ago to someone, but I see New York as my university, meaning I didn't go to college as my university. I saw New York as like where I got my hustle degree. You know what I mean? Like I got
you had unofficially applied and got a scholarship to the School of Hard Knocks.
Facts. Yeah, all right. So there you go. Yeah. So that's what happened. Yeah. So basically,
and then you went to your 4-year degree program.
Right. Facts. Right. Because I, you know, had that foundation of like a loving, supporting person in my life before that, I feel like that carried through. Therefore, people love to work with me because of my, like, you know, anyone who works with me knows that it's the Mixed by Gabriel family over here. Like, I don't consider no one who locks in with me on a regular basis a client at all. I call and check in on people. I'm a genuine, humble person you can call and holler at. And I think that has carried me through and through, to be honest, even through the ups and downs of like getting bullshit deals with labels, selling placements. We can get into all that. But this like foundation of like being a genuine good person and what that's done for me has carried me through all that bullshit. So I think Mixed by Gabriel is just an honest, true, just genuine, honest person that does his utmost to put his all in every piece of art that I touch. That's
Now
good.
let me ask you this question. Just to back
Yep.
up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, upon making the decision to move from the town of Maryland to New York, and you basically moved here by yourself, right?
Hmm.
How how much courage did you was it easy for you to just make that move? Like, yeah, nah, this, I'm on my way to New York. I'm out this, I'm not scared. I'm not nervous at all. Or did it take you time to build up a lot of courage to make such a decision, to make to to feel comfortable with making such a move to a even bigger city? Not knowing the realm of what where you were going and what you were getting into. Like how much fear did you have going into making this decision, or how much courage did you have, and assurance, self-assurance that you had going into the make finalizing the decision to say I'm gonna take this leap and go to New York and try to make this thing happen.
Got you. I mean, definitely. I mean, the thing about me is if I look back in my past and just my journey in life,
Hmm.
some of the biggest decisions I've made and conclusions I've come to are like, whatever it is, like maybe going, going to a certain high school or whatever big decisions I had to make as an adult. The majority of the biggest, most serious ones, to be honest with you, the reason I made those decisions is because I always felt like I had no other choice but to do it. Meaning, like I said, I didn't go to a 4-year college, so it was
Hmm.
music or music. I went to technical school, so it was like
Hmm.
there wasn't like it was my back against the wall. There wasn't like how people have like a plan B and plan C. There wasn't none of
It was
that, bro. It was
it was
like,
make it or bust for
yeah,
you.
it was like
Yeah.
I have to
Okay.
make this work. My parents, like helped me go to music school, and they're, what I'm saying, supporting me. Like I have to
You
make
got
this work. They
it
support me.
all
They're
up.
behind me. Like, yeah, facts. I need to prove all of y'all motherfuckers that this is possible. Like I had
Yeah.
so much of that, like just utter like I have to make this work, that I didn't even fear, to be honest, until I got to New York. Then the real shit happened. And if I'm not going to sugarcoat shit. Moving to, a city and going into one of the most competitive industries in the country in general, it was not some of the darkest times I've ever experienced, for sure. First year or two, dark as
Yeah.
fuck. Not making money, horrible apartment, horrible roommates, people harassing. Like, bro, I could go on a list. If you
Yeah.
can when they say you can make it in New York, bro, you can make it anywhere. They're not
It's
lying, bro. The
it's
amount of things
it's
you
so
go through
true.
out here is like next level, bro. Because it's not even like just the job or just how expensive it is. It's like I also got to go home and deal with dickhead roommates because I don't
Mhm.
have that much money to buy a nice ass apartment yet. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like things like that you don't think of. So you don't have peace at home. So it's
Mhm.
like you constantly just don't have peace of mind for like years straight, you know?
So giving those type of environment and circumstances, how were you able to really keep your focus and your concentration in what you were doing, and not be able to be so distracted or so like you discouraged in the process of like, damn, this shit is like this, let alone trying to deal with the shit that I'm dealing with in trying to make a name in the industry. I'm also dealing with my personal day to day, and it's just not it is just not helping in an environment that's conducive to keeping me in the mind state of like just feeling like I'm positively going in the direction I want to go. If you're in those type of stressful, under those duress circumstances, how were you able to stay so streamlined, focused on, not losing sight or not losing courage and going in the direction that you were trying to go with the music?
Um, well, definitely when I first moved out here, I definitely didn't really have a way of doing that. So when I say dark, I really meant dark. Like I was
Hmm.
definitely going through the motions of like shit, using whatever I could to numb the pain. And y'all know what I'm talking about. So I shouldn't have to go too much into details. But yeah, in the beginning, I definitely was not on good things that helped with
Hmm.
that. It was more negative things. But as I continued in my internship and I got past like what I consider the bullshit phase, and I start to get to sit in with sessions and have like a mentor who like really like cared for me and checked in on me and like kind of gave me that like older brother love or vibe.
Hmm.
Things started to change, and that was like, so I would say that was after the first year. So after the first year, it switched from like me being dark and negative and like, you know, trying whatever I could to like just get past this hard ass moment to me finding someone and finding a thing to like help me continue in a positive light without having to do those things. But yeah, bro, I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat shit, bro. In the first year, shit, a lot of alcohol. You know?
Yeah, nah.
But I'm here, look, I'm here to be truthful with y'all and transparent so that y'all can understand the seriousness of this and how hard this shit is.
Yeah.
And so maybe that you can, you know, give yourself a pat on the back for doing things in the music industry or just not being so hard on yourself. I hope some things that I say gives you that for yourself, you know? Yeah.
So now let's unpack a little bit of just the experiences, because we talked on the things that you experienced when in terms of like just living in New York. Let's talk about what it was like going to start this new life as an intern at this big, these big, big name famous studios and stuff like that, not knowing what you're about to come into, who you about to encounter, what type of even lifestyle you're even about to exist under, as an intern, and what you're really getting into when in terms of saying, like I'm signing up to go and do this internship at a recording studio, and it's let me ask you this question: when you first got the approval to, when you were back in Maryland, it's like you got approved to be at this studio. Did you think you made it? Did you
No.
think like this was it? I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
I mean, maybe. I highly doubt that.
Uh-huh.
Maybe until I got to that small ass apartment with no window.
Right. Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So let's unpack, your experience from like when you got here and you started going through the internship. Like, what is, some of the experiences that you really come to experience and learn from, and kind of help shape, the type, the personality of who you are today in this business.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. A lot, because I stuck around lounge for more than, most people do. Probably, I'd say altogether probably 2 years, maybe a little bit over. But yeah, honestly, I grasped so much from lounge just because that was my first like big studio experience, and I got to see all the intricacies of how they ran their scheduling, how they, how much they paid for rent, how much their overhead was, how much they had to charge, how many sessions they needed booked to make over their rent. All of these things I had no clue about. How you could be, profitable as a big recording studio in a big popular city. So that was very clear to me. I mean, I got to understand responsibility, hustle, grind, determination, just understanding that if you put that extra work in, that extra elbow grease, that like good things can come to fruition. For example, like I would clean this one studio room all the time and reorganize it, trying to get the owner's attention for months. And finally he noticed that like, oh yeah, this kid Gabe's always in there like tightening things up, trying to like fix things, da. So we get to talking. I'm like, yo, dude, like I've only been doing this, to be honest, because I wanted the spot to look really nice, but I also wanted to like help y'all get this room back in order.
They
and
never
he
asked you to do that.
No,
You just
didn't ask me to do that.
took
That's
it
what I'm
upon
saying.
yourself.
Correct. So those type of things though are what is going to take you to that next step, because what happened was, because of that, he went out and went to B&H. I remember this shit like it was yesterday, and literally bought me everything for the studio, and literally just left it in the room the next day and was like, there you go, set it up and you can start bringing clients in. I was like, all right. So literally like my first real shot at like a big studio was at Lounge Studios in the Ebony studio, which is right next to their Ivory studio, which is the biggest one they have. And I literally just refurbished it and reconnected everything and got new speakers, and yeah, got that shit fully running. And then that led to him trusting me with writing sessions. So I got to work a lot of like Atlantic Records, Warner Records, E1 Music writing sessions because of that. So I'm saying all this to say that small thing that I took upon myself led to that, like that domino effect.
No, that's
First, I
dope.
got the chance to like have my own little room thing on the side. And then, you know, obviously I could do my own work there, but then also he's like, yo, let me see what Gabe can do in sessions. And now he's throwing me work because he saw that determination, that grind, that like me wanting to help out, me wanting to be a part, and me taking that action and not waiting for him to ask me to do something. That's the thing. If I got to ask you to do something, I don't really, you know what I mean? Like I just already see you a certain way. You should be taking that initiative to build the business or to clean. Like it's very common sense stuff. Like, oh, I see the trash is full. Let me empty it. Why does he have to tell me to do that? Like these type of things show just good human, like morals and just ways of like this. These are all just common things that just say that you're a person that can handle responsibilities. That's really all it does, you know?
When he gave you access to that room, and gave you all this equipment, did you know how to set all that stuff up? Did
No,
you have help setting it up? You set
I figured it out though.
You had to set the whole entire room up by yourself.
Yes.
And what was some of the, you know, the things you did to really go out to, you know, go out of your way to find answers to the questions that you didn't have in, you know, in the process? Because some people will be like, I don't know, I don't have the answer to this, and then just throw their hands up and not know, you know, not even know where to go from there. You know? So, you know, you took this from parts on the floor to a fully functional up and coming room, not knowing what to do and how to even set this up. What was that, you know, what pushed you through that process? And
well, first of all, I knew Walt, that's the owner's name. I know him like the back of my hand, and I knew that the last thing I was going to do was ask him or anyone else for help. It's not what I was about to do because that was going to go south. So what I got to do is prove my worth and prove my troubleshooting capabilities. Okay. Engineers, our best skill and what we do 90% of the time is just troubleshooting, figuring out problems. You know what I mean? Oh, this person doesn't like how their vocals sound. Why? What do I got to do? That's troubleshooting right there. And that's like every day. So I just went about literally just trial and error, dude. Like fucking trial and error, YouTube University vibes, maybe even manual. I definitely did some manual read-ups. I remember like it was yesterday. I was using the Avid IO like interface, like the original joint, going with an Avalon 737 with a U87 in the booth, with a big knob. It wasn't a crazy immaculate setup, but it was enough for me not to know what the fuck I was doing and still figure it out. But yeah, it was basically just an Avalon, a big knob, a Mac, an Avid interface, and a fucking U87. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I would say is just trial and error for the most part, to be honest. Just figuring it out. Like, oh, I plugged this into here. What does sound come out? No. Okay, let me try on the other side. Oh, does it come? You know what I mean? And then obviously reading manuals. Like I read the manual for the Avid interface. That's how I figured out how to connect the Avalon to it and how to get the sound back into the speakers.
What was it like? Do you remember your very first recording session that you did
at Lounge or in general?
In a professional studio. As a client, this is my first official recording client session in a major professional studio versus, you know, like, you know, back in Maryland at home, or, you know, anything like that. Like, do you remember?
Yeah, I mean, I do, to be honest. All right, so I really wanted to like work sessions and like level up quickly at Lounge. So one thing I took upon myself, anyone can use this on their own as a suggestion in your own career. I definitely suggest it. But what I did is I took it upon myself to go to my mentor, Mixed by Blue, and literally he can attest to this. I went up to him and said, yo, I want to get better at recording and tracking. I'm trying to do some sessions. Can you set up a mock session for me? He literally brought one of his artists, came upstairs and watched me record him. That was the most nerve-wracking shit ever. And I consider that my first real, like, because I had like, you know, someone I looked up to and someone who's like big to me, like behind me, like watching me with like a stranger in the booth who I don't know too, recording him. And I'm like trying to be as fast as I can, as quick as I can, like thinking in the back of my head, like, shit, I didn't hit that or whatever it is. Like he's gonna, you know, he's gonna yell at me, whatever. It's very nerve-wracking, but like, you know, it definitely gave me that good feeling after him just like giving me the, you know, the pat on the back, being like, yeah, there's not too much to give you feedback on. Like that was his first comment. But he was like, you know, you could get quicker here. I saw you didn't do this shortcut. You need to get used to using that shortcut, whatever it is. And that is what I would consider my first like real, because that was like my first nerve-wracking experience with like a situation. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, you know, I'm an intern at that point. So I'm like, I'm trying to prove to him, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm worried I'm going to lose my internship if I don't do this. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very nerve wracking, but that was definitely like my little, like shocking session moment in the beginning. Yeah,
That's
for sure.
No, that's dope. It's so cool to, you know, ask those questions, because it's like when you think about where you were then and then looking, you know, at where you are now and thinking about, you know, just processing like, man, like how many sessions, how many hours, how many experiences, how many crazy experiences did I go through to get to this point in my life where I can walk in this room with some of the strongest confidence I've never might have had, you know, you know, and more greater nerves of steel before, you know, than I'm ever, you know, had before when I was going through these experiences and learning how to deal with them. Look how far and how much I went through just to get to a place where look how far I've come, and I feel more assured, seasoned. Let me ask this question: Do you still consider yourself there's more to learn and grow at this point?
Always, every day. I'll never answer that question differently. I'll be 50 years old and I'll still be fucking reading a fucking manual on engineering, bro. Big facts. You know what I'm saying? One of my mentors at my school, actually, he was a Pink Floyd legendary engineer for Pink Floyd. The Dark Side of the Moon, actually, he did the whole album. But he said, this is like a 55, 58-year-old dude, right? He's like, you'll never be better at me than engineering because I'm 55 and I still am keeping up to the things that you guys are reading. So like when there's a new book, I'm reading it too. And I've been doing this 40 plus before you came around. So I'm always going to be ahead of you. And he literally told me that. He was like, I'm always going to be ahead of you. You're never going to be ahead of me. Ever. And there's like a 58-year-old engineer, bro, like just popping his shit. Like, y'all ain't never going to be better than me. I was like, that's lit. So ever since then, I've been like, yeah, bro, I'm never going to stop the process of like upping things. You should never.
Yeah.
There's always new technology. There's always new things. Like, it will never change. You know what I mean?
No, definitely. All right. So I want to pivot for a second and you know, we touched on just your incline into the engineering side of things. You are a producer as well, a successful producer at that. And I want to kind of go down, you know, touch on that and just dig into that aspect of your career for a moment. And when you came into New York, did you have it in your mind to, like, first of all, was it more about engineering or was it more about producing when you first got here? What was your initial focus?
I mean, to be honest and true with you, production has always been my forefront biggest passion and love.
Okay.
So that's always going to be forefront for me. Meaning, see, that's the thing that people don't understand. Engineering and the way I engineer and the way I mix feeds directly into my production. Meaning, 9 times out of 10, I added an 808 in a song I mixed. 9 times out of 10, I took away a clap and added a different clap. I put a rim shot in between. 9 times out of 10, I created a bridge that wasn't there. Like, I'm always producing. So like, that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, I could be recording someone and be producing them vocally right there. And that's production. Like adding crazy effects. That's production. So it's like, I feel like people don't understand how broad of a term it is. But as far as beat making and like making beats, that's still my biggest number one passion. And I feel like engineering was my way in to the industry, and production just is always there for me, and it will always continue to get me placements and situations. But engineering is like the way I got into the room, because engineering is easier to get certified in and established in. And there's like There's like a syllabus and a way you can learn. Like it's a technical skill. Production
Right.
isn't, bruh. There is no school for beat making that you get certified in and everyone wants to work with you. Like that's not a thing as much as
Right.
engineering is. So engineering was the quick, smart answer for me to get to New York quicker and start working around these people I can get placements with. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest, if you look at the most successful producers, like in 2023, from 2020 to 2023, if you look at the list, every single one of them engineers. Every single one. Every single one. Like, for sure, bro. Like, they can all record and they can make it sound decent. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's how you, bro, that's how you get in the rooms, bro. Everyone needs an engineer. And 9 times out of 10, who's getting asked to pull up the beats? Engineer. So I stop you before we even get there. Oh, yeah, by the way, bro. By the way. You know?
By the way, I got production. But, fast forward and you're, the beat making side of your career has grown its own legs and taken a life of its own. I know for a fact, you know what I mean? Just in the history of me knowing you, and I kind of want you to touch on, just what it takes as as a music producer, trying to reach out and get, you take your work of art from the computer to trying to get it on artists and connect with different artists and get it in people's hands and stuff like that, because I've seen you literally do some real you know deep dive groundwork to get out there, and connect with people and stuff like that. And I want people to be able to hear that journey from you, the things that you did to really move your production through the industry.
I mean, to be honest with you, one of the biggest things that I've noticed through my journey is, first of all, just to be honest, this is just a statement I'm gonna make. I never thought that I was gonna be at this place where my mixes were that lit to the point where like Mixed by Gabriel, like plaquing and all this shit. Like I had no idea, bro. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Like when I went to school, I was not ever like, oh my God, I'm gonna be that mixing guy in New York. Like that. Like this was not part of the plan, y'all. I just went with what I went with, and it worked, bitch. No, I'm just joking. Let me stop. But no. But
this is Crown Talk for a reason.
Yeah, it's Crown Talk. Hey, it's Crown. But nah. So basically, I'm just gonna be blatantly honest. There's so many people that I personally know, and so many people in general that can make beats and who consider themselves producers or that are good at making beats. None of that shit matters to me. Me and you have talked about this a whole bunch of times. Bro, at the end of the day, all a beat is just a piece of instrumental or a composition sitting on your hard drive not doing shit. None of that matters. What matters is relationships and doing the groundwork, like you said. I literally, like, making beats, I just, like, later on in life, it took me a while to figure this out, but, bro, making beats doesn't matter. Like, that's not the fine line that's going to dictate you blowing up or not at all, as a matter of fact. Yeah, you got to be good. I'm not saying you don't got to be talented or practice your shit. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying those motherfuckers would be like, yeah, I'm going to make 10 beats a day and just be making beats. Like, bruh, none of that matters. Go outside, meet an A&R, make a connection, tell an artist to pull up to the studio, don't charge him, see if he fucks with your beats. Is he signed to a label? Give it to him for free. Know that in the back of your head, you got 50% of that master, right? So give it to him for free. Don't say nothing about pricing, and then come for his ass later. A lot of what I've been able to do and accomplish has been because of the people that I've surrounded myself with, like lawyers and certain people that have been able to get me on the right path in my business. I've made mistakes. I've done the wrong things, signed contracts I shouldn't have, but it's all in a learning experience. And that's why we're having these talks, so that I can like tell people, have a lawyer look at anything you sign, like period. Like never sign anything ever.
Can we touch on some of those experiences, those hard experiences, that you may have experienced and had to overcome and learn from, in the process. So, because I know, I talk to kids all the time, and they're like, so and so sent me a contract, so and so wants to sign me, so and so wants to do this type of deal with me and stuff like that. And I always tell these kids, like, don't, whatever you do, don't rush. don't think that you gotta hurry up and rush into signing something.
Oh,
I
don't
mean,
make you think that too.
it will.
I got in the email. I've got in the text. Oh, yeah. Oh, if you could just sign it so that we can drop it tomorrow or whatever it is. Like, oh, yeah, we have this lined up, like this interview, and we want to talk about the song. So can you sign it? Like now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they'll make you feel pressured. But at the end of the day, like, you got to understand, like, a lot of people don't understand this. Realistically, you have to take, like Jay said, take time. Sit back and reflect on this, right? Really think about it. If this person really was interested in what you're providing or what you worked really hard at, why would they be rushing you or forcing you to do something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't they want to negotiate and talk things out and make you comfortable and like work with you and build with you, right? Logically. So they wouldn't charge you to come meet them. Like, oh yeah, we want to sign you to a label, buy your ticket out here and pay everything to come meet us. That makes no sense, first of all. Anyone who's like asking you for something and making it seem like they're giving you opportunity is not an opportunity. That's just someone trying to scam you, pretty much. You know what I mean? So that's the first red flag, is like anyone who's asking for things from you before you even get to meeting them or knowing them really, like that's a flag, bro. They don't really, or they're not interested, bro. They're just trying to come up. But I would say just flatline. The biggest thing, bro, is like, you know, there's a lot of intricacies of labels, but just know that there's something called a production deck. All right, I'm about to drop some gems for y'all. There's something called a production deck, right? Which is basically like the label's way of saying fuck you to a producer, right? And what they do is they send that to producers that aren't that known yet, or that they don't think has a lawyer, and they get them to sign that shit. And a production deck is basically, hey, Gabe, we can do whatever we want with this, right? Like anything. And we have all the rights to do whatever the fuck we want. And you don't have this, it's not yours no more. Like basically everything that it shouldn't be, it is. And if you sign that, it's literally called a production deck. And literally if you tell if you hit up a lawyer and be like, yo, I signed this contract, the first thing, if you're a producer, the first thing they'll say is, I hope it wasn't a production deck, right? Like you didn't sign a production deck. This is like a known thing. A production deck is like a fuck you over contract situation. But yeah, one time in my career I signed one. So I learned the hard way, man. But that being said, there was one contract I didn't sign in this whole thing that because I didn't sign it, my lawyer was able to come back and fuck them over later down the line. So yeah, man, just keep in mind that like there is a lot of legalities and loopholes, and potentially your lawyer or whoever, if they're good at what they do, can find those and request money, you know, or come for them. So
let's touch on that for a second. In terms of like building a team around you as a creative, as an engineer, as an artist, because every role in this industry needs that type of team around them. Correct?
For sure.
Now, if in your opinion, what, because you know this has been debates for a long time. In your opinion, what is the most important piece of building that team around you that you should have? Is it an entertainment lawyer? Is it an artist manager? Break that down? In your point of view, what do you feel is the way that you should go about building the team, and what pieces that you do need more than others to have?
All right. Yeah. So my thing that a lot of people think is people have this weird concept in their mind that there's someone on people's teams that like specifically get opportunities for them. And I'm here to tell you that unless you're on a label and you've already done the hard work and basically made a fan base for yourself, that's not a thing. Meaning managers don't get you opportunities. Managers don't get you shows and shit like that. Managers don't get you like features by big artists. Like that's not a thing they do. And people have this concept that like, oh, a manager helps me with this and that. And it's like, no, managers overlook and oversee everything and make sure you're good and organized and shit. That's a manager. And there could be a day-to-day manager. There could be a business manager that would be more on the finances and shit. But there is no managers like legitimately getting you all your opportunities and looks as an artist. Like that's not a thing. you guys need to understand that all these labels have the exact same people. Russ talks about this shit all the time. There's this guy at Apple, there's this guy at Spotify, there's this PR team, there's this marketing agency. If you get to know them and build your fan base and all that, you don't really need shit else. The only thing you need is an entertainment lawyer, bruh. And then obviously people, maybe a manager once you get to that level of needing things managed. But if you're not making $50K a year on music, what is there to manage really? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's not that hectic. You know what I'm saying?
So when would you advise a artist or anyone in that? When is the perfect time to say, okay, I should look for I could use an entertainment lawyer? Like if you have 50 followers on Instagram, but all of a sudden you got someone knocking at your door, you know, like, hey man, I love your production or I like your songwriting and stuff like that. I want to sign you to a development deal or something like that. Is that a time to go get a lawyer?
I mean, you know, at the end of the day, we can all be like realistic and true to ourselves. And 9 times out of like I just think a lot of people have this pipe dream of like people hit the jackpot and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like realistic, if you really sat down and thought, like, I have 50 followers. I have 2 songs out. I've been doing this a year. The fuck is someone reaching out to me for? Like, really think about it, bro. Like, I feel like people don't have that comments, like they have that jackpot mentality where they're like, oh, I must have hit it big. This must be the one case in all of the past 50 years where this happened. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they think they're gonna like hit it quick rich or whatever. That's not a thing. So if someone DMs you and you don't have, just be true to yourself. Have you really been doing it that long? If you haven't put 5 to 10 years in this, why are you expecting a hit up right now? But my suggestion is if you actually have movement and it's a real thing, yeah, reach out to an entertainment lawyer. I connect people all the time with entertainment lawyers because I just don't want people to, you know, go down the same path as me as far as signing things without knowing any better. So I think. But my bad to interrupt you. One thing I was gonna add, when I say don't have a manager unless you make 50K or 100K, I'm not saying don't make it seem like you don't have a manager. Meaning, create, this is a big gem. I did this for years. Everyone can use this. Feel free. Third Eye Sound Management at gmail.com with a different name, meaning like it will say like, it'll be like Paul Doberman or some shit. It'll have like a different name on it. So you think it's my management team. It's really just me. So having someone who's not you communicating with other artists or people you're doing features with looks better. And definitely 180% will make the creative experience go better because they think they're talking to your manager and you can kind of be a dick. Like, yo, I need this money or whatever it is. And they're not going to be mad at you. You need to keep that creative relationship afloat. So everyone in here, I'm not telling you not to have some sort of barrier between that because you always need that. I'm saying that you don't actually need a manager, meaning someone that's like actually like what does he need to manage? Like, do you have 5 concerts in the next 2 weeks? Do you have a podcast, an interview? Like, what are we managing? You know, you got to be realistic because you got to think. At the end of the day, he's going to get 15 to 20%. You know what I mean? So does it really make sense at that step, at that level? Just think about it logically, you know? But I'd suggest that everyone should have a fake management email. I'm going to get in trouble for that.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to a producer, engineer, you know, starting to get clients, you know, you go from not having 1 or 2 to all of a sudden you got people that's starting to knock at your door more. Is it necessary, do you know, to always take everything that comes through the door, or you know, or is there room to pick and choose who you decide to work with, or is there a certain time that you have to evaluate your process of saying, okay, now I can choose to not work with certain people or certain types of you know, artists that give me this headache or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Oh,
How do you go
100%.
about
I
your
mean,
process? How do you go about your in your process? And when do you want to decide or get to a place of saying, you know, I at this point I think I'm choosing to be more selective with the type of people I work with.
Honestly and truly, I'd say that only started realistically happening for me the past 3 years. So I've been doing this very seriously for the past 8 years. So I'd say it took 5 years of pretty much having to accept most work, most everything that came through the door. I had to accept. I just had to accept it. This is all I did. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have no part-time job for a lot of this career, so there was no other option but to take that shit. But that being said, the past 3 years, man, there are so many things that I'll say no to be honest with you. I'm good on, I get the concept of like, people having demo-itis and like people wanting specific sounds for their music and shit. I totally respect and I understand that.
What
But
was that word you used?
demo-itis.
Break that down.
Oh, demo-itis is when you listen to a demo version. Demo meaning it's not done, but you feel the need to listen to it 18 million trillion times to the point where you think that that's how it should sound or needs to sound because you don't know any better. So you come to a professional and you basically screw up the whole process because you're so stuck on that sound. That's literally what it is. You're just stuck on a sound that really there's no validation as to why you think it's so good. It's just really you just been stuck on it, listening to it all the time. It's not like a fucking A&R came up and was like, yo, you need it to sound this way or else you're not getting signed. Like, no one said that. You just have this like I said, you just don't know any better and you're used to it that way. So anything that differs, your ears get thrown off and you think it's wrong, but it's really not wrong. You're just not used to it. So yeah, that's what demo-itis is. But basically in the past 3 years, man, I respect and I understand the, you just want someone to mix your song, but you want it to be like all these different specifics about it. Like I need my vocal to sound like this and I need this plugin and da-da-da. I respect that and I understand that, but I might not be the best fit for that because what I do is I respect and I really uphold my creativity and my artistic creativity as a mixing engineer. And I want people to come to me because I am a tastemaker. That's what I am. I'm a tastemaker. What that means is I make it into a record. I don't want you to come and tell me what you need your mix to sound like, bruh. You can literally just go to someone just starting out and just coach them and puppet them. I'm not that guy. I've been doing it 8 years. I've formed a foundation of a very low-end mixing style that is my style and my sound and how I treat things. So that's what you come to me for. You know what I'm saying? And sticking to that is what causes people to respect you and makes you a name in the game as a tastemaker. Like, oh yeah, Gabe's that dude who be like, fuck your rough mix. You know what I'm saying? But not being real, bro. That's like you going to a producer and telling him to make a DJ Mustard beat and he's not DJ Mustard. Like, why would you hit him up for that? That's not his sound. That's not what he does. It's honestly like, yeah, I just feel like a lot of people want like, what is it called? Like a fucking microwavable mix. And I'm not for that, bro. Like, I'm not here to just do a quick 1-2 and put a limiter on it and put my name on it. Like, we could do that, but I'm not going to put my name on it. I'm just going to be like, yeah, bro, like, it's just, it detaches from mixing engineers are artists at the end of the day. And a lot of people just don't realize that and understand that people come to people for sounds, bruh. Chris Lord-Alge is the one who created the Rolling Stones and the Green Day sound and the alternative rock shit. All that shit came from him. He crafted that sonically. You know what I'm saying? Alex Toomey, he crafted Young Thug. He crafted Atlanta. He crafted Auto-Tune. People don't know this. People don't talk about this. I'm here to talk about this shit. It's the truth, man. We've paved the way for sonics, for sounds and genres. And that's why people go to those engineers. And that's what I'm here for. I'm not here to like, basically just mix the way you want me to mix. Like, I'm here to be a staple in the industry,
How does one know, in your opinion, is there wrongs and rights of mixing in the sense of EQ before compression or compression before EQ, or what's is there there's rule of thumbs, there's we've heard different rule of thumbs, but in your opinion, is there a wrong way to mix, or is it more of this is my style of mixing compared to the next engineer's style of mixing?
I mean, I feel like there is a big open space for basically doing whatever you want, and there is no rules. But there's also a very fine line of like, all right, everything's hitting red and everything's distorted. I'm probably mixing it crappy. You know what I'm saying? So, like, not for real though. So, like, all I'm saying is like, there's a big open space, meaning, bro, you can EQ, compress, put 18 million compressors, and it could be the most fire mix ever. I don't fucking know. If it sounds good, it is good. But there are common, like, regular fouls. Like, bro, everything should not be clipping. That's a foul. Like, everyone knows that. But as far as, like, you need this reverb, or you have to do it this way, or, like, make it this loud, or this RMS. No. That's how genres get created. That's how fusions get created. That's how there's an anomalies in music. And that's why there's songs that stick out weird, because there's anomalies, meaning a mixing engineer did something different and now it sticks out. So I think that's part of this. All this shit is subjective at the end of the day. So what I might like for a mix, someone else might. I mean, that's why I said, like, I'm in this to be a tastemaker, right? So I'm in this to legitimately be the person that dictates the sound of a record, the sonics of it. So that's basically what I mean when I say.
So cook it up, you know, like you went, you did lounge, you did quad, you did lounge, and then you kind of arrived to a space where it's like, okay, boom, I'm venturing out and elaborate and expanding into my own space, and then boom, here comes Cooking Up Studios. So talk about your process of getting to that point where it's like, okay, I think I'm ready to really open up my own space, and just going through the process of creating your own structured studio and business and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, in between lounge and Cook It Up, there was a long line of me trying to find other Cook It Ups, basically. You know what I'm saying? We had Treble Sound Entertainment, which I'm sure you remember, Lit Life Studios or whatever. Tried to become the owner there, or studio manager, whatever, just like an upper person. Didn't work. Yeah. They didn't have the same vision as me. I've done that at IMI Studios. I've worked at Blast Off Studios. I've done a couple sessions and got like certified at Engine Room Studio. Like, I've been around the block. I've pretty much been to most studios. Freelancing in some regard, trying to make relationships with owners. And the thing I've realized is, just to be honest, the majority of studio owners, especially in New York City, aren't actually engineers or music people. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Meaning, like, a lot of them are just investors. They just have money. So, like, me explaining to them why they need to get a new piece of gear, or me explaining to them what we need to do as far as like music or like catering to artists doesn't apply. They're businessmen, right? So there was always a disconnect between me and the owners. They had a different, like, my vision is passion over money. You know what I'm saying? I want to do this shit the right way. Money will come if you do it the right way. That was my opinion and my way of thinking. Their way of thinking was like business, business, business. You know what I'm saying? We got to do this the right way from the jump. You know, like, we don't want to do right by people first, basically. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you see it for yourself, bro. I mean, you know the vibes, bro. Look at all the horrible internship experiences people have, bro. Like, look at the horrible horror stories. What do you think that comes from? You think that comes from good business running? No, bro. People shouldn't be treated like that, bro. You think people, like, are gonna say good things about those experiences later on in life and like talk highly of that studio? No. They're gonna be like, it was a traumatic ass horrible experience. Like, I would never do that again. You know, they treated me horribly. So yeah, so all that happened for me to get to Cook It Up Studios. And one piece of advice I'll give to all producers and engineers is that you should find one space to work at. Reason being, your mixes, your beats, everything is streamlined, and you have the same sound every time now. I've been able to level up my mixes and my production beyond anything I ever have because I don't work in any other space. People ask me to come to their spaces. There's no reason I would do that. Reason being, you're literally paying me to come out the space that I get crazy mixes to go to a space that I don't get crazy mixes at, to give you a subpar mix for a super expensive price. Why would I do that? If anything, I'm trying to help you and telling you to come where the mix is going to be immaculate because I got this shit dialed in here. But a lot of people, you know, a lot of people have their little, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people just don't care about quality, so it just goes over their head when I say that. But it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Why would I use Yamaha speakers for my mixing if I use Dyne Audio every day for the past 3 years straight? It makes no sense. Wouldn't it sound bad, or I don't know what I'm hearing right, or wouldn't it just not work? I don't know.
Right.
But so basically I found Cook It Up Studios, and the owner Nosh had a lot. He's an engineer and producer, and he had a lot of the same mentalities as me, where we wanted to create basically an environment that allows for us to give high level, high quality mixes and masters and recordings to labels and independent artists at a good rate that's competitive against the quads and the engine rooms. That's why we're located in downtown Brooklyn, because we have a cheaper rent than most studios. So we're able to get away with charging $70 an hour for just recording and a rough mix with the same vocal chain that most of those studios would be using. So I'm using, you know, a $6,000 mic going into a $3,000 preamp, going into two different $3,000, $4,000 compressors into a mastering converter, and then going into the system. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's a reason why our shit stands out, because of the price and because of what I'm giving for the price. No one's really, in my opinion, there's one studio I can think of. Actually, no, they don't even count. They don't even, there's no studios I can think of that charge $70 an hour that has the same or close to the same vocal chain as us. And keep in mind, we have multiple vocal chains. So I have 3 different mics. I don't just have one. And that's all for $70 an hour, you know?
How were you able to identify, you know, or get to the place where it's saying, okay, boom, this is what we're using? Did you have to buy the equipment and then just like would you just see it and it's like, well, it says this and this about it, we're just gonna go ahead and run with that, and then you have the equipment and then it's like, fuck it, we got it now, so we gotta make a sound out of it? Or did you get the luxury and opportunity to try a lot of different things? Because you know, especially some of the new gears that you have and stuff like that. And I want you to touch on some of your favorite gears, at least, especially the you know, type of outboard equipment that you know, as an engineer, you know, you love to use. But how did was it easy to get to a place of saying, okay, boom, these are the things we want to use, or did you just try the other different things, pick them up, and then it's like, you know, we have them, we got to make this work?
Right. So basically what happened was, so the reason why me and Nosh work so well is like me and him balance each other out. Meaning I bring a lot to the table and he brings a lot to the table. Nosh is a crazy gearhead and an equipment geek and nerd. So a lot of things and decisions were made before I even got there. And then, like, for example, we had the Manly. The Manly's been there. A lot of the other things have been replaced and switched out, and I was a part of that. But like, the Manly's been there, and I've used the Manly before, and I knew it was an immaculate mic. But the reason why we balance each other out is because like, he's really good with equipment and hardware. He's really good with mastering. I'm really good with mixing. I'm really good with beats. He's really good with like, he's really good with production as well. And he's also like I'm super savvy with branding and like marketing online and like getting our brand out there. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he's just a good people person in general. He's great at like communicating with people and talking with people, having conversations, just a great dude. And basically I came there and we had a U87. We changed the U87 out to a Latin Audio FC386.